I had never seen her before, but I thought, that's it. I also said, whoever she is, I'm going to go with it. I'm going to take a chance. Robert Redford has long been regarded as one of Hollywood's most admired and mysterious stars because of his stunning appearance, stirring performances, and innovative behind-the-camera contributions. He came to represent calm, might, and artistic purity. Although the public witnessed a successful, elegant, and controlled man in control, Robert Redford never discussed something personal. He also concealed it for decades, even from some of his closest friends and family. In an unexpected and poignant turn of events, Redford's daughter has come forward to share a hitherto untold aspect of his tale. Fans and even close coworkers were unaware of the emotional weight he carried for decades. Even though he had a successful career, he kept a piece of his background hidden from the public. A deep-seated secret that influenced not just the man he became, but also the decisions he made as a father, an actor, and a person. What did Robert Redford have to conceal? And why, despite exposing himself to the world through his art, did he decide to keep this aspect of his life so private? A fuller and more relatable portrait of the renowned actor starts to take shape as his daughter finally speaks up. However, the reality is much more nuanced and emotional than anyone anticipated. An unsuccessful college career, an addiction to alcohol, and a love of art. Born in Santa Monica, California, on August 18, 1936, Robert Redford grew up in a humble setting far different from the Hollywood glitz and stardom he would eventually experience. The everyday rhythms of working-class American life influenced his formative years. Like many other young men growing up in post-war, post-depression America, Redford was raised in a neighborhood that valued hard labor and traditional values. However, he showed indications of artistic desire even as a young man, suggesting that he was meant for a different kind of destiny. Like many others in his generation, Redford embarked on a seemingly normal course in the 1950s. His decision to enroll at the University of Colorado was motivated by a desire, or even a sense of duty, to further his education. However, he experienced personal hardship during this time in his life. Redford eventually dropped out of college due to his struggles with drinking and academics. It was a pivotal moment that might have signaled the beginning of a downward trend. Redford, however, took this opportunity to reevaluate his life's course and reflect rather than allowing these difficulties to define him. Redford made a daring choice after graduating from college. He traveled to Europe after departing the United States. There, he followed his initial passion, painting rather than performing. In the late 1950s, Redford immersed himself in European art and culture in an attempt to find inspiration and understanding. He had the chance to explore his artistic side in a different setting during this time overseas. He gained a deeper grasp of art, beauty, and self-expression through painting, which enabled him to interact with the environment both visually and emotionally. Even though he never pursued painting as a career, the experience had a significant influence on him. It demonstrated an artistic flair and compassion that would eventually inform his acting and directing. With a newfound sense of purpose, Redford ultimately made his way back to the United States. He changed his emphasis to the theatrical arts and enrolled in New York City's American Academy of Dramatic Arts. This choice would permanently alter the course of his life. Redford took acting seriously for the first time at the Academy. He immersed himself in the realm of theater and performance, honing his craft under the tutelage of seasoned teachers. Redford flourished here, in contrast to his previous schooling in Colorado. He discovered that acting provided a fresh, satisfying outlet for his deep emotional range and creative impulses. Redford's career as a professional actor began in the early 1960s. He began with television. Like many young actors of the day, he appeared in a number of well-known TV series between 1960 and 1964. Among them were popular shows like Perry Mason, The Twilight Zone, and Maverick. Redford's expertise and notoriety in the entertainment world were greatly aided by these gigs, even if they were frequently minor or cameos. He was able to hone his abilities and display his innate charm and charisma on screen with each appearance. More significantly, these early parts demonstrated his ability to interact with an audience and perform well in front of the camera. Redford made his cinematic debut in the low-budget war drama War in 1962. Even though the movie didn't do well at the box office, it was a significant turning point for the young actor. Redford made the switch from television to cinema with War Hunt, which also gave him his first experience of the actual movie business. Casting directors and agents took notice of him thanks to the part, seeing potential in his nuanced performances and quiet passion. War Hunt was more than simply a job to Redford. It was a chance for him to establish himself in a very competitive industry, and he succeeded, creating the groundwork for future, more significant opportunities. Redford's career took a big turn in 1963, just a year later, when he was cast in the Broadway version of Barefoot in the Park. One of the pivotal milestones in Neil Simon's early career would be this romantic comedy. Redford's portrayal of the endearing, but rather stiff husband won praise from critics. His unquestionable stage presence, emotional range, and effortless delivery captivated both audiences and critics. He was able to showcase his comedic timing and dramatic nuance in this type of part, which would later become defining characteristics of his acting style. In Lions for Lambs, his leftist viewpoints caused a stir. Building on Robert Redford's early life and ascent to prominence, it's critical to comprehend how his political ideals and personal convictions shaped his public character and occasionally caused division. Redford changed throughout the years from a gifted actor and director to a vocal supporter of progressive causes. Redford has made the decision to speak out about his liberal beliefs, in contrast to many Hollywood celebrities who would rather keep their views neutral or private in order to avoid offending certain segments of their fan base. His readiness to express his opinions in public drew praise from many who agreed with him, but also condemnation from those who thought his viewpoints were divisive. Redford's political position was evident from the beginning. He frequently questioned the current quo and had a strong leaning toward liberal and progressive ideas. He expressed views on a wide range of topics, but he was notably critical of U.S. government policies, especially those pertaining to military operations. Redford's criticisms were more intense in the early 2000s during the Iraq War era. He emerged as a well-known opponent of the war, casting doubt on the invasion's justifications and voicing worries about its moral and human implications. He didn't make subtle or behind-the-scenes criticisms. They were made public through his artwork, talks, and interviews. Because of his candor, conservative pundits attacked him, accusing him of being anti-American or unpatriotic. It's critical to keep in mind the historical context. Chuni Autodiv pundits. Both domestically and internationally, the Iraq War was a contentious issue. Some Americans protested and questioned the war's legitimacy and efficacy, while others firmly supported the military actions. Redford's outspoken criticism thrust him squarely in the center of a contentious cultural discussion in this politically tense environment. Supporters commended him for his bravery and moral clarity, while detractors charged him with destroying national unity during a time of war. So, this division exemplifies the profound impact politics can have on popular opinion, particularly when a well-liked celebrity takes a stance. Film was one of the most obvious ways Redford combined his political beliefs with his artistic endeavors. He directed and starred in the 2007 political drama Lions for Lambs, which explored the intricacies and fallout of the War on Terror. The movie combines three related tales of a senator who is advocating for military action, a professor who is confronting his students' indifference, and soldiers in Afghanistan who must make life or death choices. Fundamentally, Lions for Lambs is a reflection on civic engagement, political accountability, and the human cost of conflict. Redford had a clear intention. He aimed to provoke thought and discussion regarding the choices made by the ruling class and the part played by the populace in forming democracy. But opinions on Lions for Lambs were divided. Many critics thought the film was unnecessarily didactic and heavy-handed, while some viewers valued its sincere attempt to address challenging political issues. Some people thought the movie was more of a political lecture than a complex narrative, and Redford was charged with utilizing the movie industry as a vehicle to further his personal political beliefs. This critique brought to light the dangers that arise when artists overtly address contentious issues in their work. The film's message struck a deep chord with some, making them reflect on their own values and obligations. Others viewed it as an unwanted encroachment of politics into entertainment, serving as a reminder that different audiences frequently have different ideas about what movies should offer. A larger conflict within Hollywood and the entertainment sector is reflected in Redford's experience with Lions for Lambs. To what extent should artists integrate their profession with political activism? Although social themes have long been explored in film and television by actors and filmmakers, overt political messaging can occasionally turn viewers off or spark reaction. This tension was nothing new to Redford. For years, he had been active in politics, advocating for causes like civil rights, environmentalism, and government accountability. His readiness to speak up, despite the possibility of controversy, demonstrates his strong desire to use his position to advance change. A river runs through it, barefoot in the park, and the Oscar-winning director's breakthrough. It's important to acknowledge that, building on Robert Redford's politically charged period, his ascent to Hollywood fame was characterized by iconic parts in seminal films that helped define a generation. He featured with Jane Fonda in the 1967 film adaptation of Barefoot in the Park, which became his cinematic breakthrough. In addition to showcasing Redford's charm and charisma to a larger audience, this part helped solidify his reputation as a serious actor with widespread appeal. The romantic comedy demonstrated Redford's talent for giving his characters nuance and tenderness, which won him praise from both reviewers and viewers. The foundation for what would become a quick ascent in Hollywood was established by this early success. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, which were released just 2 years later in 1969, were a significant turning point in Redford's career. His status as a leading man in American cinema was solidified with this film, which launched him to full stardom. Redford, who co-starred with Paul Newman, embodied the iconic outlaw Sundance Kid with a blend of grit, humor, and sensitivity. The film was a commercial and cultural success, becoming one of the most cherished westerns ever produced. Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid introduced the world to Redford's Sundance character, which would later serve as the inspiration for the name of his renowned film festival and helped establish Redford's reputation as a versatile actor who could handle both action and profundity. Redford kept giving standout performances throughout the early 1970s, most notably in The Way We Were and The Sting. The love drama, The Way We Were, in which Redford co-starred with Barbra Streisand, demonstrated his talent for depicting nuanced, emotional bonds. The movie was a box office success and is still regarded as a genre classic. The Sting, meantime, showcased Redford's talent for deft narrative and group acting. Redford's reputation as a top performer and top-notch, highly praised films was further cemented when the film won the Academy Award for Best Picture, highlighting its success. Redford played a very important part in the 1976 political thriller All the President's Men, which detailed the investigative journalism that led to the Watergate scandal. His career took a significant turn with this movie since it matched his developing interest in social and political themes. Redford was shown in All the President's Men as an intelligent, diligent actor who was prepared to tackle weighty real-world issues. His performance received high appreciation and helped the movie become a critical and financial success. In addition to enhancing his reputation as a politically conscious artist, the film struck a deep chord with viewers during a moment of widespread unrest and mistrust of governmental institutions. Redford's skills went beyond acting to include directing, where he found great success. He directed the drama Ordinary People in 1980, which examined emotional healing and family tragedy. The Academy Awards for Best Picture and Best Director went to this critically acclaimed film. A distinct aspect of Redford's creative ability was showcased by his sensitive and perceptive direction. Because of Ordinary People's popularity, Redford gained recognition as a talented director who could tell intimate, emotional stories that captivated audiences. Additionally, it gave him new job opportunities and enabled him to impact the film business both behind and in front of the camera. Based on the Norman Molan novella, Redford directed the stunningly filmed coming-of-age movie A River Runs Through It in 1992. The film's striking graphics, intelligent narrative, and powerful performances, including Brad Pitt's early career breakthrough, made it noteworthy. Redford's ongoing dedication to significant character-driven films that combine artistic vision with approachable storytelling was showcased through this project. Redford's reputation as a filmmaker who can bring literary works to life in a way that respects their spirit and appeals to a wide audience was further cemented by A River Runs Through It. His first kid died tragically. He divorced after 27 years, and his son James battled cancer and liver problems. In addition to his remarkable career accomplishments, Robert Redford's life has been profoundly impacted by personal struggles that have shown the depth and resiliency of the man behind the public image. Even though Redford is well known throughout the world for his activism and filmmaking, his personal life has seen many difficult and painful times that are frequently overlooked by his fame. These private and familial matters provide a more complete picture of a man who, in spite of his great achievements, experienced devastating losses and profound changes. The death of Redford's first kid, Scott, was among the most tragic and early incidents in his personal life. Scott, who was born in 1959, passed away from SIDS, a terrible and unpredictably occurring illness that results in the unexpected and unexplained death of a healthy baby. This tragedy was unthinkable for Redford and his former spouse, Lola Van Wagen. The loss of a child is a severe injury that causes emotional scars that endure a lifetime. This familial tragedy served as a sobering reminder of life's frailty and the unforeseen obstacles that can upend even the most promising circumstances at a time when Redford was still making a name for himself professionally. Redford's grief about losing Scott persisted and affected how he handled his relationships and his career. It's commonly believed that an artist's sensitivity and understanding can be enhanced by personal suffering. Additionally, this loss gave Redford a deeper emotional dimension that would show in many of the parts he would go on to play and the tales he would choose to tell. Redford's personal life continued to change after this early tragedy, but not without other challenges. He married Lola Van Wagen in the late 1950s, and they divorced in 1985 after 27 years of marriage. A marriage that lasted for over 3 decades is noteworthy, and Redford's personal life underwent a tremendous change when it ended. As is frequently the case with well-known public figures, Redford and Van Wagen's divorce garnered media attention even though they both kept their reasons for splitting quite private. Divorce can be a difficult and unpleasant process, particularly when it is being scrutinized by the public. Redford was already juggling the demands of his job and his family obligations, so the dissolution of his marriage was yet another significant life transition. During this time, the media's emphasis on his private life increased stress and probably made an already difficult position even more difficult. This period in Redford's life serves as a reminder that notoriety does not protect one from the difficulties of interpersonal relationships, and that public personalities frequently have to deal with their personal issues in highly visible ways. Redford had to deal with the illness and subsequent death of his son, James Redford, in addition to the loss of his first child and the dissolution of his marriage. James had liver illness, a severe ailment that required ongoing care and medical monitoring. James' health issues over the years had a negative impact on the family, and in 2020, he passed away from cancer. Redford and the rest of the family were devastated by this loss. One of the hardest things a parent can go through is seeing their child suffer from a life-threatening illness and eventually die. Few people outside of James' tight group may have completely understood the vulnerability that Redford's personal experience with his sickness brought to his life tale. The Hollywood legend is made more relatable by this tragedy, which serves as a reminder that beneath his well-known accomplishments lies a guy who has experienced severe loss and suffering. The Indie Film Festival is accused of nepotism and commercialization. The founding of the Sundance Cinema Festival is one of Robert Redford's most enduring legacies, as his career progressed from his early acting days to becoming a significant figure behind the camera and in cinema culture. The festival was established in the early 1980s as a result of Redford's strong belief in independent filmmaking and his wish to provide a venue for up-and-coming filmmakers to exhibit their work outside of the established Hollywood system. For many years, Sundance was hailed as a ray of hope for independent filmmakers, a haven that fostered artistic freedom and paved the way for the careers of innumerable actors, directors, and writers who might not have otherwise been able to find a home. It came to represent films that defied norms and business expectations, new voices, and artistic integrity. In addition to being a cultural event, this festival was a statement, a declaration that independent storytelling should have its own platform and be heard without the influence of big studios. However, Sundance unavoidably came under scrutiny and criticism as its size and impact increased, some of which have called into question the basic principles upon which it was established. The argument that the event has been overly commercialized is among the most enduring criticisms. Critics contend that what started out as a small-scale assembly of independent filmmakers and moviegoers has grown into a well-known occasion full of celebrities, business endorsements, and business insiders. The celebration some have questioned if Sundance still values the independent spirit, or if it now more heavily appeals to market pressures and the pull of celebrity due to its growing glitz and red carpet appeal. The festival's original mission is being diluted by this commercialization, according to those who cherish it. They fear that films chosen for the festival may be chosen more for their star power and marketability than for their artistic merits, which would take the festival's focus away from genuine, independent voices. In addition to along with worries about commercialization, Sundance has been accused of favoritism and nepotism, especially in relation to Robert Redford's professional and personal networks. Critics have noted that, as the festival has expanded, people with ties to Redford, including his own kids, have reportedly benefited from preferential treatment when it comes to movie choices and career prospects. Within the independent cinema industry, this has spurred discussions about gatekeeping and whether Sundance purposefully or inadvertently fosters an exclusive atmosphere that benefits insiders and their families. In a festival that takes pride in supporting up-and-coming artists from a variety of backgrounds, these accusations raise significant concerns around equity and equal access. The idea that Sundance is an open and equitable platform is called into question, and the perception of nepotism erodes the faith of the larger artistic community for a festival that is frequently viewed as a stepping stone for up-and-coming filmmakers. The argument over representation at the Sundance Film Festival and the appearance of elitism. The public's image of Robert Redford himself became more nuanced and occasionally divided as the Sundance Cinema Festival gained popularity and became as a significant influence in the independent cinema industry. Although many people respect some see Redford more critically, while others praise him for his innovative contributions to cinema and his work to support independent filmmaking, the idea of elitism appears frequently in the criticisms of Redford. This impression stems from a number of things, such as his enormous fortune, his status as a Hollywood star for a long time, and his vocal political opinions, which many interpret as representative of a social and cultural elite that seems removed from the common experiences of the general public. The triumph of Robert Redford has given him a status and way of life that, to some, exemplify the exact kind of privilege that can put a barrier between an artist and the general public. The idea that he is somewhat distant or disconnected from the realities that regular moviegoers experience is frequently fueled by his image as a polished, intelligent man in Hollywood. His liberal political views, which have occasionally alienated more conservative sections of the populace, further enhance this image. Although his support of progressive issues has won him praise from like-minded people, it has also led to the belief that he is politically and culturally alien to a wider range of Americans. Because Redford is framed as a member of an exclusive cultural elite rather than just an artist or filmmaker, this sense of disconnection may make it more difficult for viewers to relate to him and his work. These notions of elitism assume further importance in the context of Sundance. Despite being established to support independent voices and encourage inclusion in storytelling, the festival has been continuously criticized for failing to live up to these principles in reality. The festival's lack of diversity, particularly with regard to representation for underrepresented groups, has been a prominent source of criticism. Sundance has occasionally had trouble presenting a genuinely diverse spectrum of viewpoints, despite Redford's well-known progressive beliefs and the festival's goal to honor new and marginalized voices. The festival's programming and selections, according to critics, haven't always represented the wide range of filmmakers and tales that exist outside of the mainstream cinema industry, a personal truth about the famous individual in Hollywood. In addition to being hailed as a great actor and director, Robert Redford has also been praised for keeping his personal life well hidden from the public. Beneath his meticulously constructed public character, there were still parts of his personal life that few people were aware of, despite his enormous renown and decades in Hollywood. Robert Redford's daughter recently revealed a long-kept secret for the first time, illuminating a very private period of her father's life that was previously mostly hidden to the general public. Many people who have followed Redford's career and personal life are surprised by the disclosure, which emphasizes the difference between the public figure and the private man. Redford has kept some family issues under wraps for years. So his daughter's choice to speak up encourages a more complex view of the guy in the spotlight and behind the camera. The context in which this admission has been made, a combination of love, respect, and a desire to expose the truth without creating a stir or scandal, makes it very powerful. Redford's daughter has stated in interviews that the weight of this secret significantly influenced their family's dynamics. She highlights that her father wanted to shield his loved ones from public scrutiny and to maintain their dignity, which is why he decided to keep this aspect of their history private. This highlights a typical problem that public personalities face, juggling their personal life with the insatiable curiosity of both followers and the media. The openness of Redford's daughter provides unique insight into how these demands impact the family members who live with the celebrity as well. The daughter's disclosures have sparked a wider discussion about privacy, legacy, and the challenges of living in the spotlight, even though specifics of the secret have been kept under wraps in some ways. It serves as a reminder that there are human tales of resiliency and fragility hidden behind every well-known name. The disclosure encourages empathy for the personal hardships that are frequently concealed beneath celebrity and forces both admirers and detractors to reevaluate their preconceptions of Redford. Redford's long-standing value of sincerity in both his art and personal beliefs is also reflected in this moment of transparency. Identity, concealment, and the pursuit of truth have been recurring themes in his work. Thus, his daughter's announcement was particularly moving. It encourages contemplation on how life experiences influence artistic expression and vice versa, by bridging the gap between the personal and the artistic. Furthermore, the daughter's remarks have raised questions about how Redford's personal life may have shaped his public persona and narrative style. When taking into account the emotional aspects that were long hidden from the public, both fans and academics may discover new depth in his performances and directing decisions. This kind of information enhances our comprehension of Redford as an artist, a husband, a father, and a guy juggling the demands of a public life.